Yeah.
6 years.
Good for you. That's one thing when you're trying to build these things of some other organization.
Hey, good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Bennington Select Board to order on Monday, March 26, 2012, Bennington Firehouse at 6 p.m. I'm asking John Zink, please, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Okay, next thing on our agenda, the meetings from March 12th.
I'll move that be accepted as printed.
Okay, I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, if not, all in favor? And that is unanimous, 7. Everyone is here. Next item, the warrants. And we'll start with Chris,
Nothing. Thank you, sir.
Justin,
I have nothing, Joe.
Jason,
No.
John,
Nothing?
Sharon,
Nope.
Matt. Last
I got a
time.
couple.
Go ahead.
First page, Stu.
There would have been a lot of disappointment if you let that one pass by.
$700 for traffic, and what were we doing that we needed traffic control for?
That is a wastewater expenditure. We've been doing some slip lining projects, and I don't know whether that involves that or some of the manhole repairs where we had people out. I don't know the specifics, Matt, but that's what it would be for.
Okay. Have we got anybody that's certified to do traffic control for?
Well, we have people who can do flagging. Our people are all certified for flagging. Traffic control, because every other department is fairly busy, sewer department only has a contingency of 6 people, so we don't have enough people to put in the field to do the traffic control, and that's mostly true with both water and sewer. Sometimes with highway, we've got enough people on hand that we can do it.
Okay. Page 2, the Cabela's muck boots for digs. I'm only asking this because I own a pair and they're fairly expensive for doing construction work.
Yeah, and those are, that's a purchase for the water department systems, and I can't tell you how many pairs were purchased.
Not many.
Not many.
Matt, but,
Looks like 5 maybe.
well, that would be for everybody in the department then. And all I can tell you is they must be good boots, and
They are good boots.
when
Yeah.
we're standing in water up to our waists, sometimes it's a good thing to have. That's all I can tell you.
One more, the ballots. Do we get reimbursed any of that through the school district?
Generally, if the way the town clerk and the school clerk, who happen to be the same individual, work it, is he will split the cost of the election when he invoices. So what we pay is what he's asked
Okay, so
us
it's
to
already been
pay.
split.
Yes.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, Stuart, I just got a couple. One is not the amount, but just an issue. I see Central Vermont Public Service, electrical charges. When we switch over, have they approached us? Do we have any of town meetings that are supposed to go to these smart meters? Have they notified us?
I think they already had their hearing, didn't they, at the
Well,
library?
there was a meeting here in town.
Yeah, I'm talking about actually installing them on our
I
buildings.
don't know that they're here yet.
Okay.
And there may be some notification that that will come to us that they're in our community, but we haven't received anything formal at this point.
Okay. I really was thinking about whether or not it goes on the town offices, whether it goes on the police station, does it come here in the firehouse, to actually install them? Buildings.
I suspect that when they come to the community, they will.
Okay.
Now, didn't we put a stop to that?
Well,
What was the?
there was a resolution, but that was it was non-binding
Non-binding
resolution.
resolution.
Okay.
And I understand they're proceeding with them statewide anyway, right now.
That's correct.
I know I'm getting letters from folks from North Carolina, South Carolina, everybody else in my email. who had read about the fact that we did have a resolution in our town meeting. Also on page 3, the sledge cake removal, how often do we have to do that out there? Do you know? Is that an annual thing, or is that something that occurs, builds up?
That occurs, I couldn't tell you whether it's monthly or whether it's, once a quarter. But what we are doing with our sludge cake now is once the material is dry, we put it through our presses. We are actually trucking that currently to Casella Certified Waste Removal Facility. I don't know whether you folks remember, we talked a little bit about the dust at the compost facility. When VOSHA was initially here in our very early on inspection that resulted in some fines for us, one of the things that the inspector pointed to was the potential for combustible dust at the compost facility. We use hardwood sawdust as our bulking agent. We end up with a very dry material, creates a lot of dust. It is what the plant was designed to handle, although we are told it can handle other materials. We went through a whole host of studies with engineers and others to take a look at the product to see whether or not the mechanisms could be altered and whether in fact it was combustible dust. Ultimately, it came down to everybody concluding that it's very similar to Milorganite, which is produced in Milwaukee in their facility, that they have a combustible dust issue. Therefore, the compost facility at the town of Bennington has a combustible dust issue. In order to now operate, we need to add, first we need to clean the facility, then we need to add potentially thousands of dollars worth of misters and things of that nature so that the dust remains moist enough so that it doesn't self-combust, and that's the issue, like in a hay silo. So at the present time, we've shut down the facility. We're looking at all of our options, and frankly, given the huge market for wood pellets, our market for sawdust is disappearing or becoming incredibly expensive. So we're talking with the original manufacturers about whether there are some other bulking agents we might use. We're trucking our material away to be disposed of in a solid waste facility. We're also looking south to Williamstown. They compost, but in an open facility. It's not enclosed. And to see what the cost would be to actually have it trucked to Williamstown and treated there. We've done a cost analysis, and right now we may be heading towards shutting down that facility until we can find a cost-effective cure for the problem.
Because aren't we taking sludge from Pownell, too?
Not anymore. They send theirs to Williamstown.
Oh, okay.
We got too expensive for them.
Oh, all right.
On page 10, first item, Memorial Day wreaths and markers. Is this something we do annually, or is this something that we requested to do?
No, annually, we budget $1,600, and it goes every other year to the two organizations that are veterans organizations in the community. This year it's the VFW. Last year it would have been the American Legion, and they use the money to go out and purchase wreaths and markers and flags to put on graves throughout the community.
Okay. And the last thing, down Wells Communication, on the base radios in the rack, does this complete the buy of that equipment we were talking about a few months ago?
Yes, this finishes the fire facility and all of its radios.
Okay.
Joe, I just have,
Go ahead.
going back to I assume it's a typo on the invoice date that says November 30th, 2012. We're not prepaying something that far ahead at the, I just
Yeah.
noticed that when you were talking about.
I actually hadn't noticed that, but it would not be November 30th, 2012, obviously.
And if you don't, who is Clifford's Pizza Eat Incorporated further down that page?
What page are you on there?
Right on page 3, just below the typo on the invoice.
Oh, that's,
Is that Ramontos?
thank you very much. It's
Ramontos,
Ramondos.
All right, I was
I knew there was a strange name. When we did the community dinner, we bought pizza from 3 or 4 different vendors.
Well, since we don't have a Clifford's Pizza, I was hopeful for a community dinner. We were using a community business, so that's why I asked the question, who is Clifford's Pizza Incorporated? Asked, answered, thanks.
Anything else, Jason?
Nope.
Okay, do I have any citizens out there who'd like to address the Select Board of People of Bennington on an issue that's not on tonight's agenda? Brenda, do you want to talk anything on coming Chamber of Commerce, seeing how Joanne's not here?
Sure.
Okay, I didn't see. Okay, either one.
Okay.
Could you come up to the mic, please, Brenda? Introduce yourself and your position on Chamber, please.
Sure. I'm Brenda Jones. I'm the first Vice President of the Bennington Area Chamber of Commerce. At the last Select Board meeting, I believe it was Jason Morrissey who asked the Chamber for a statement regarding the Gladstone property next to Home Depot for actual work on that with commercial industrial. And so the statement has been prepared, a policy statement has been prepared by the Chamber, and I wanted to just bring that and read it to you in response to that. The Bennington Area Chamber of Commerce supports and encourages both commercial and industrial development in Bennington. As an organization serving our members and the greater Bennington community as a whole, we stand ready to assist developers, entrepreneurs, and individuals interested in relocating, expanding, or otherwise doing business in our region. We support zoning and bylaws that encourage business activity and are in accordance with our town plan. The Bennington Area Chamber of Commerce will from time to time support or choose not to support changes to overall zoning and the town plan, but will not take a position in regards to a specific property due to the potential for conflict of interest within the Bennington Area Chamber of Commerce membership.
Okay. Jason?
Actually, Brenda, I think you're mistaken. I didn't ask the Bennington Chamber of Commerce for a position. I asked the Economic Development Committee who would come here off agenda, speaking under public comments. They had told us about website design and what they had done, and my comment was, we've got a very big economic development issue. Have you guys given any thought to that? That's what I was asking for. And I think actually it was John Shanahan, not Joanne Ehrenhaus, that said they would come back to us with some feedback from their members. That's what I did not ask the Chamber of Commerce for a statement or a policy statement on.
Okay. Well, now you have it.
Now I have it.
And now we know, and everything is wonderful.
It's
Thank
not
you.
bad. It's not bad that you come forward and say that, though. I mean, it supports the work of the town planners and the town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Any other citizens like to speak on an issue? Okay, if not, the next thing we have is Jim, you want to come up to the mic, please, talk about the Tour of Dragons?
Happy to.
Thank you, sir.
See you.
Thanks, Jim.
Good evening. Hopefully you can hear this all right. First of all, let me introduce Dieter Drake. Dieter is president of Anthem Sports, a very successful race organizer for the Tour of the Battenkill, which you probably know happens every spring in Cambridge. This will be the 8th Tour of the Battenkill, and it's April 14th and 15th this year. Dieter's grown that race from 200 in the first year to expecting 3,000 cyclists for that race in Cambridge in April, so mid-April, pretty exciting. Dieter's company, also Anthem Sports, offers the umbrella of the Great American Cycling Series, under which the Tour of the Dragons now falls. So I just wanted to introduce you to Dieter. He's a face that you're going to get to be more and more familiar with. I just wanted to bring the Select Board up to date on really answer some of the questions that you had back in last summer, end of last summer. some reminders and answer any questions that you might have. First of all, a reminder of the dates. The event dates are May 5th in the Bennington area, downtown Bennington and slightly outside of town. May 6th in Manchester and essentially most of Bennington County. May 5th, most of the racers arrive, so they'll be staying 2 to 3 nights in our hotels and using our area facilities, be it gas stations, restaurants, whatever. But it's an influx of about 550 racers this year that we expect. That translates to about 2,000 people when you count spouses, children, team mechanics, support personnel, massage therapists, et cetera, et cetera. So about 3.5 to 1 to 4 to 1 is the multiplier that's been consistent with bike racing of this type over the last decade. Quick review of the courses. 3 courses over 2 days, 2 races on Saturday. The first is the individual time trial on South Stream Road. That starts at the Beach Street Playground and runs out South Stream Road down around Barber Pond and back. And the time, the sort of maximum time, if you will, would be from about 7:45 in the morning to about 6:20 in the evening. What I did below that is give you a chart with 2 highlighted lines, and the timing, of course, depends on the number of people involved in the event, because in a time trial, every racer is starting by themselves at 30-second intervals. Consequently, the amount of time used throughout the day is very much dependent on the number of racers in the fields. So if there are fewer racers than 100 in the Cat 4s, for example, the amount of time used out on the course is less. And the last column on the right gives a break time, if you will, of between one field and the other. That is gaps or periods of time when the roads will be open for regular local traffic and vehicular movement. The third race actually is the long race starting and finishing in Manchester. That will run from about 8 a.m. to 4:30. Manchester is fully on board and been very supportive. And the second race, which I have listed here as number 3, is the Downtown Criterium, which really is the focus of the questions that you had previously and that I want to delve into a little bit more detail with. First of all, the specific question you had was the review of communications with the downtown businesses between the race organization and businesses downtown. And John Shanahan and I have worked closely together to develop a small package to present to each one of the business owners that provides a map of the course, a race day plan, and timetable. We've personally visited the majority of the businesses downtown. I still have a few more to visit, but I would say we're 80% of the way there. All the businesses will receive an electronic copy as we get closer to the event as a reminder of exactly what the time schedules are and how the day is going to proceed. Overwhelming majority of the businesses have been very positive and very supportive and very encouraging, and coming out and offering a lot of assistance, a lot of great ideas, and I certainly appreciate all those people who have jumped on so enthusiastically. I'm also developing a schedule. I've met with and developing a schedule with Cat TV. We're planning a number of shows that will sort of go from the overall view, general outlook, and hone right in as we get closer and closer to race day on specifically what's going to happen downtown. Similarly, I'm working with the banner to provide area residents with a printed copy takeaway, sort of poster or pull out or fold out piece that will have all the pertinent information on it. And WBTN will be providing on-the-air information leading up to the event as well. So communications using pretty much all the channels that we have available to us. You asked about improvements to facilitate pedestrian and customer flow to downtown. And Chief Doucette, R.J. Jolly, the town manager, and we all met and really sort of hammered through this and came up with I think a very workable system where we'll have a race, let's say they're 45 minutes long, and then open up the streets entirely for, well, I should say, open up the streets to pedestrian cross-flow for 15 minutes where there are no cyclists on the streets at all. So it allows a good flow of movement to businesses inside the loop, which is the difficult area. And that program goes throughout the day. The other thing is, last year we had the police barriers stationed too far away from town. Again, Chief Doucette and R.J. Jolly and the folks there worked with us to say, okay, where can we position those and welcome people into the downtown area, bring people in the downtown area without getting ourselves into a bind as far as tractor trailer trucks coming off the mountain and getting stuck.
Let me ask you, Jim, because
Yes,
I think I'm looking at Union Street, and I'm looking at 2 police barriers at each end there. Let's say a delivery truck comes in for some business on Union Street. Will they be able to come in?
Yes.
So the police will be able to remove those barriers and allow somebody to come in?
On Union Street, the idea is when the course is open for pedestrian flow across Main Street, South Street, Hillside, Silver Street, at that time, those barriers will also be open. So if a delivery has to get into or out of Star Electric, or employees have to get to TJ's, for example, the street will be wide open at that time. The idea, last year, just to back up a step, last year what happened was we ended up compressing all the races into the afternoon, and that took away all the break times. And we were hoping, okay, we'll juggle it a little bit and make it work. This year we took all the fields and spread them throughout the day, and that allowed us to have very solid 15 to 20 minute break times where there's no action on the street at all. As I say, pedestrians are free to cross the street. Cars can go back and forth on Union Street across Silver. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, Jim, thanks.
So the barricades are moved in as close to downtown as possible, where we don't get ourselves into a bind with the vehicles getting stuck in kind of a dead-end passage. At the same time, we are keeping the police, the Bennington police, out at the critical intersections, let's say Safford Street to the east, and up near County Street to the north. And those police officers understand that what we're trying to do is get as much traffic into downtown, but those people who want to get south of or west of town will be detoured around. So again, the police have been very understanding and very helpful in coming up with an accommodating solution. All good? The time specific to Bennington, I think the critical column that I want to show you is the far right-hand column, which is the break time between races. The race lengths changes depend on the expertise level of the racers that are out there. In the afternoon, they get progressively longer. However, we're consistent in keeping a 15 to 20 minute break time between fields. We feel that should be plenty of time to allow people to get across. Okay. Lastly, I want to remind or ask the public, ask everybody to be aware of that safety is first and foremost in our minds, as it is the town, as it is the police, and there'll be a lot of cyclists around. Please be patient, please be understanding, please be aware, especially out on South Stream Road. When they are racing, they're going to be going much faster than people are used to. So it's just a kind of a short time out of the year, and if people are just a little bit extra cautious, a little bit more on alert, use common sense, we'll have another safe and successful event.
Jim, you said you talked about 80% of the businesses downtown. Have they indicated that they're going to do anything from their business to promote this event? I mean, the time is specific, but 2,000 people in Bennington for 3 days when the race is not going on. Is the chamber or the businesses, anybody doing anything to hold their attention here in Bennington?
John Shanahan's working, again, we've sort of reached out to businesses and say, the event is a platform, leverage your sales and promotions off of it. One of the things we're looking at, one of the things we'd love to do that we're looking at trying to do is sort of have the downtown area be an expo also, or allow business owners to bring tables out on the sidewalk, to bring displays out on the sidewalk, to bring, if it's panache, bring clothes out on the sidewalk. And to do that, we need to put barriers across the parking spaces, and I'm currently trying to source those and figure out exactly what we can do. Ideally, that would allow us to double the size of the sidewalk and really make it into, as I say, sort of an expo and very welcoming situation for everybody there.
Stuart, can we ask John Shanahan prior to this to come to us and tell us what the plan is by the businesses downtown to promote themselves during this time? I'd be curious to know. And I think it'd be good for the people of Bennington to know what's going on besides, the visitors we got going in.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyone? Matt?
Yeah, and I don't know who this is a question for. Do we have some sort of plan in place for reimbursement for extra police and highway personnel and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be, those costs that are above and beyond what we would normally pay, we'll be billing to the race folks.
Okay.
We fully expect the services that are provided to pay for it. I mean, that's one of the real benefits, if you will.
Right.
And I think that was, a lot of people were very accommodating last year. Those people get paid this year.
Okay, Jason?
Jim, do you have any idea what the estimated economic impact is for the weekend to Bennington County?
A good multiplier on that?
Or at least based on last year? I know last year that was probably that would have been a very tough question to answer, and it probably is this year based on one year, but based on what you saw last year, how does that impact Bennington, whether it's through hotels, meals?
I'm going to give an index, thank you for the question. For the True Bad, for example, which is one I'm intimately aware of, and I'm familiar with, 2,000 racers, the impact is in excess of $1 million to $2 million. The game racers in the region is coming to the game area, and overall, obviously, Bennington, I think, finished mentioning the other day that there's a lot of people in. The multiplier of that for 3,000 racers.
It might be better if he
Yeah,
came
can
in.
you please come to the mic?
Yeah.
This is important.
Yeah.
And I think, as you know, last year, we said we want to make this an annual event. We've got our calendar blocked that way, so.
Yeah, we do. Just to restate that, for the Tour of the Bad, I can give you an index. We have 3,000 racers. It's not unlike the Tour of the Dragons, where we have multiple days. It's really just a single day of amateur racing, but we bring people in the day before, and hopefully they stay the day after. So really, it's not unlike the Tour of the Dragons, where it's 2.5 days. And the impact there is in excess of $1.5 million, $2 million. So for 3,000 racers, you divide, perhaps, and that's just a rough index, divide that by 5, correct, right, to get 500 or 600. And that's your overall impact, again, for the region. I'm not saying that all that money is spent in Cambridge, New York. Certainly, we don't have enough businesses that could take all that money. But for the region, it's about that.
Okay. Then last year, just real quick, didn't we have competition at Berkshire's during that time, too? Wasn't there something that took away from what could have been our draw?
Didn't race last year.
There is
Or
actually,
didn't
was
it? Okay.
Yeah, no, you may be thinking of the Jimmy Peak Road Race.
Okay,
Which used to
all
be
right.
Berkshire Cycling down in Williamstown.
Yeah, okay.
Can I?
We got a court, let me, go ahead, Chris.
Last year it was attached to a nonprofit, I believe it was United Counseling Services.
Yes.
And part of the proceeds that you had raised for this event went, to the United Counseling. I'm assuming by the paperwork that you've given us that you're not attached to a nonprofit, so you won't be doing
This
this?
is a for-profit organization.
Okay.
But I think you bring up a great point. United Counseling Service lost money last year. So there was no net gain for a huge amount of work. And I think one of the things that that is maybe putting words in Ralph Provenz's mouth is, but we talked a lot in these terms. We said, for the amount of overhead that goes into, or the amount of effort into what is the return for UCS, and it's a very low ratio, very low percentage, would it be better for them to take their assets and turn them to other events that are quite a bit less overhead intensive? And I think he agreed with that understanding. in part because UCS had borrowed a huge amount of infrastructure which Anthem Sports owns. And now the flip side of that is, well, does the Tour of the Dragons give back to the community in any way? And the answer is absolutely yes, and that's through our volunteer program. And the volunteer program is set up, it's called the Group Give Back Program. And for any nonprofit in Bennington County that brings 10 volunteers to the event for, let's say they're going to work part of Saturday or part of Sunday, that the event will make a contribution to that organization of $300. If they bring 20 volunteers, the contribution is $750 to the organization. Already I have 5 organizations in the county signed up.
Great.
And so what it does is it takes some of the income, some of the net proceeds, and it distributes it across the board wider, let's say more widely throughout organizations in the county. But it's been, I think, extremely well received. It's worked exceptionally well in Washington County as well.
Good, fair enough, thank you.
Sharon?
I just, do the people that typically race in Bennington on Saturday do the Manchester race on Sunday? Do they do the whole weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Or do we have a specific group that stays in
No,
Manchester?
by definition, it's called a stage race, which means that for them to compete, they have to do each one of the stages unless they crash out or they're so slow they miss a time cut. So when they start on Saturday morning, they're expecting to do Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday.
Okay.
It's not
So
unlike the Tour de France.
Everybody is in the area.
Everybody's
for
in
the
the
whole
area,
time.
yeah.
Okay.
Matt?
And I understand that, I noticed that UCS was no longer part of this. Were the businesses downtown, is there full disclosure to them that this is a for-profit race?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
That was-
I would say multiple times.
okay. That to me would be a sticking point with them to say, here comes somebody to make a bunch of money and we get shut out for the day. Just making sure that it was full disclosure on that, because I know last year it was sold to the residents and to the business owners as this is a fundraiser for UCS.
No, it has been disclosed, and I'll have to say that a bunch of money may be a little bit of an exaggeration.
Well, I've got no idea, and if I have no idea, they probably are on the same boat that they don't have any idea, and I'm sure that if they're thinking that they're not gonna get business, that, it's probably in their heads that somebody else is coming in to make money, and you know how that goes. Sure.
But I think everybody's been very receptive to that. And I think the really refreshing sense that I got in talking with a lot of these people is they looked at it and said, well, my business may or may not improve. Take the Shaft brothers. Are they going to sell woolen products to a bunch of cyclists? Probably not. But their comment to me was, this is a wonderful thing for Bennington specifically, a wonderful thing for the area, because they realize that, maybe somebody will come back next year and buy some darn tough socks. But they know that down the street the restaurants are going to do well. And they also actually, they're seeing it as an opportunity to, because it's tuck season as well, to leverage off the event to get kids down here to watch it and get excited about it by doing a promotion that brings them into their store to get tuxes. So there's, so even businesses that I would call neutral, look at it as a net plus for Bennington and for the area.
Justin?
Just one question. I didn't realize that this was a for-profit venture, separate differently from what went on last year. But do you have a rough idea of an estimate of what type of proceeds your company would be looking to make from this event here in Bennington?
Very difficult to tell. It's really a function of turnout and sponsorship. Sponsorship drives it. So, it's our job to sell sponsorship for the event, any event that we do. And we hope to break even with the registration, and then if we can keep the lights on after that, then that would be great, But that's so hard to tell. We really don't know.
Could you provide us with some of that information after the event's taken place?
We can give you some numbers for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is the first year we've called it the Warren Chuck Jensen Criterion.
Yes.
Is that going to be an annual name for this now in Bennington?
That's Jim's call 100%, and
Yeah,
we agree.
that would be my desire, absolutely.
What an athlete there.
Yes.
He was.
And
And the last one, Town of Bennington is a nonprofit, so if I can get 20 volunteers, We'll get the money?
Yes, you do.
Absolutely.
I'll go around, Stuart.
What, are we
Ask
signing us up?
volunteers. Other than the police department, right? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda is a proclamation for National Library Week. And Sharon, can I ask you to read it?
I knew you were going to do that to me.
I know you were.
The Town of Bennington Proclamation National Library Week, April 8th through the 14th, 2012. Whereas libraries have historically served as our nation's greatest equalizers of knowledge by providing free access to all, whereas libraries will work to meet the challenging needs of their users by providing current resources in a variety of formats, outreach, and relevant programs and services, whereas our nation's libraries provide a forum of diverse ideas and points of view that help us better understand each other and ourselves, whereas librarians are trained professionals helping people of all ages and backgrounds to find and interpret the information they need to live, learn, and work in a challenging economy, whereas librarians design and offer programs to meet their community's economic needs, providing residents with access to current technology and software and ongoing support in their use, career development, and employment-seeking resources, whereas libraries are part of the American dream, places for education, opportunity, and lifelong learning, whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Bennington Select Board, do hereby proclaim National Library Week, April 8th through the 14th, 2012. We encourage all residents to visit the library this week and take advantage of a wonderful library resources available at your library. You belong at your library. Dated at Bennington this 26th day of March, 2012.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the proclamation?
I'll be happy to make that motion.
Okay, can I have a second, please?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Okay, liquor licenses. We have some?
Yes, we do have a number of liquor licenses that are renewals that we will sign the document. And I have one new license that requires signatures on both sections. And at the back of each of the two applications, there is a check attached there, so please be careful. This is a new license for Bennington Pizza on Northside Drive.
Okay. Manager's report.
I don't have much this evening. Normally at this time of year, we take a look at our annual highway financial plan, and this is basically a document that we fill out for the Agency of Transportation to prove to the agency that we are spending sufficient dollars per mile on our highways in order to receive the $208,000 a year that we receive for our mileage monies. RJ has filled this out. It looks in good shape to me, and I will circulate that for your signatures as well.
Okay.
And then just one note, Dan and I met with FEMA representatives. We were joined by representatives from the Agency of Natural Resources, representatives from the Agency of Transportation, their contractors who are helping oversee the Irene cleanup and the FEMA determinations, and Congressman Welch's office via phone, I believe, joined us as well. This was the most positive meeting we've had with FEMA with regard to debris removal, which has been the majority of the work that we've done in that 3-mile stretch of the Roaring Branch. There is some documentation. There have been some meetings that have been ongoing between and among the agency, the governor's office, FEMA, and our congressional delegation in the northern part of the state in Montpelier area that we think may have hammered out some understandings that we could potentially benefit from. I think we are the only municipality in the state that actually proceeded with a plan that had been pre-approved. We had a permit within days of starting the work, and we think that that will bode well for us, although I don't want to get everybody's hopes up. But We will know more by April 3rd, when the FEMA representatives confer once more in the Burlington area, which is where their office is located. But we have an individual who is now stationed in Brattleboro who is very aggressive and seems to be very much on board with the understanding that people have reached about debris removal being eligible if done with approval of the state. And so we're very hopeful.
Good.
It could be a big deal.
Anything else?
That's going to be it.
The other business, Chris?
No, sir.
Justin?
Nothing.
Jason?
One brief thing. First, thank you to John and to Matt for 6 great years of service. And secondly, a request for Dan, the cameraman, to turn the camera around, and if the guys from the Tour of the Dragons can move in either direction. We get a little picture of Ryan Maroney there, who's in our studio audience tonight to see his dad's last meeting. I know
Future
this is
Select Board member.
his first meeting, so thanks for coming, Ryan.
His father's been a mentor.
That's it.
John?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Karen?
Well, Jason just stole my thunder, but thanks, Matt and John, for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, I got a few things. First of all, Stuart mentioned the pre-approval we had of the plan and why we're the only one in the state. Those kind of things, I think, get by the citizens. And I just want to tell you another one I think gets by that was in our packet this week, and this was a compliance inspection by the Department of Environmental Conservation of our wastewater treatment facility. And I'm just going to read one sentence out of it. The overall rating in Bennington is excellent, which is the highest rating in our 5-tier system. This is not uncommon for our staff at our town when you have a compliance inspection, our staff to be ahead of the game. And you saw what it's going to do for the aftermath of Irene. We're going to hopefully get some reimbursement that we probably wouldn't if we weren't that proactive. So, Stuart, I pass out to the staff again, job well done, and especially to Terry. This is not unique for Terry to get these kind of ratings down there when he have a compliance inspection.
Thank you, Joe.
I want to thank the people of Bennington, especially those that showed up last week for the Council of Rural Development, Community Development. Tremendous turnout, tremendous response of the people who were there. I think all 9 seminars were widely attended. As a citizen of Bennington, I was so proud of my neighbors' positive attitude about our town. And other people, outsiders, came up and said the same thing. People came from all over the state to be part of this. One thing was said, however, and that was the follow-up was going to be on the 19th of April. That's been changed. We don't know what it's been changed to, but take the 19th off. Apparently, it conflicts with school vacations.
That could well be.
And when Paul Costello went to the school people to ask them, they showed some concerns. So I think they're looking the week after sometime. Paul will be here on the 3rd to have lunch with some of us to discuss how we're going to do it, and also to, I guess he's going to be at WBTN doing an interview, and Cat TV again, and the banner, I guess, to get the word out. But I would encourage the folks at Bennington, don't worry if you didn't attend the first one, attend the next one. This is a series of 3 meetings, and I just tell you, I'm very optimistic on the results that we're going to have for the good of our town. So thanks for those that came, and please, let's come up and we'll make sure the dates get out and the place gets out. I'm going to play health officer for a minute. The warm weather we had was terrific. However, the tick season is going to be terrible this year. If anybody gets out, and you don't have to be in the woods to get them. I picked up 11 the other day. My dog fortunately didn't pick any, but there's been a story in the paper, in the banner, I know, talking about this being a terrible year. And I will just tell you, as someone who has had Lyme disease, you don't want it. So if you're out in the woods or out in your lawns, or if you got young kids especially playing in lawns, you might want to check them when they come on in, because they're very small little critters, but they can cause an awful lot of damage. What's this?
You might want to announce.
Yeah, okay. A press release on boards and commissions. I'm going to announce some openings here for people to consider. Okay, these are positions will be open April and May. And if you're interested in any of these, just send a message or a letter or come in and see Stuart. First is a constable. It's for one person, one position. It's a one-year term, and it expired already on March 11th, so that's open right now. The DRB, we have 3 positions open, one that expired on the 11th of May, the other one on the 12th of May.
That's the year, Joe.
Those are
Oh, that's the year, okay.
May
I'm
2011,
sorry.
May 2012.
There you go. Yeah, 2 open positions this year. No, 1, no, 2.
Actually, there are 3 there because we didn't fill one last year.
That's right. So there's 3 positions there, plus an alternate, right, Stuart?
Yes.
Okay. Historic Preservation Commission, appointed 3-year terms, 2 positions open. Housing Authority, 1 position open, that's a 5-year term. Board of Listers, 2 positions, it's a 2-year term. The Planning Commission, now is that 1 or 2 positions, Stuart?
That is 2 positions that are open. That was
Okay.
the same situation as the
Okay, and the
DRB.
Planning Commission. The Regional Commission, 2-year term, there's 1 position open. And the Town Service Officer, there's 1 position open for a 1-year term. So quite a few positions open. Anyone interested, please contact Stuart, get your request in for the board to consider, and we will meet with everyone who is asked to be considered, and we'll make our decision on filling these positions. All of them are important positions to the town. A few weeks ago, the Select Board sent a letter to our local legislators showing our non-support for the General Assembly's proposed redistricting of our area down here. They're coming up to a vote right now. Some of you may have seen the latest version. They're coming down, they want to come down Howard Hill from Town Line Road all the way down to Houghton Lane and Rice Lane. Those people living on the road only, narrow strip. On the East Road from Town Line Road all the way down to Houghton Lane. Again, just those folks there. I will tell you that.
I think the Apple Hill development, too.
And is it Apple Hill too?
And I think it comes down below Houghton Lane on Route 7A.
Okay. It's my opinion, I think, and I'm anxious to hear from other board members, this is a terrible mistake for us to split, bring Shasberry representative into Bennington. We have 2 two-member districts right now. The lines are clear. They're kind of, well, they make sense, I guess, in some ways, unless you're a legislator going around campaigning. You wonder why you can only go on one side of Gage Street or one side of Dewey Street. But the 4 representatives of Bennington have always worked good together, regardless who they've been, to make sure Bennington is taken care of. And now the General Assembly actually wants to pull Shasberry in there because they did not have the numbers, they lost numbers during their census. So did Bennington. So it's not going to, we're not excess. We're actually lost numbers also in our districts. So what I'm asking is folks who live in those districts, or people in Bennington that think it's a dumb move, call not only your legislators, but call the chairperson of government ops in the House Representatives up there, Representative Donna Sweeney, great lady. She'd love to hear from you, I'm sure. But it's really a dumb move. You can find the number if you go online or look in the phone book. But this, I don't think, should happen here in Bennington. They're going to be making a decision pretty soon. And I would hope people would weigh in on that thing. Okay, I think that's all I have. Do we have a need for executive session?
No, but I do, one thing that the folks in my water department would really beat me up if I forgot to do this. Hydrant flushing will begin on April 2nd through April 6th, and the following week, April 9th through the 13th. This is a semi-annual event. If your water becomes discolored after flushing, run the cold water until it clears. Please do not run your hot water. You'll just be sucking the material into your water heater. But it is a semi-annual event, and we're coming. It must be spring.
Must be.
And speaking of that, just one question. When is the winter parking ban over?
April 1, I believe it is.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you, folks, for attending.
What's that?
Matt, once again.